Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. It is me, Frenchie. I hope you're all doing well. We've got another episode of our trapping Liverpool in the lower leagues. It's not really trapping, but we move them down, obviously, into the lower leagues. And last time then, they climbed their way back into the Football League, but did lose almost all of their players. So, as you can see, we've advanced a few more years. We're now at the end of the 24-25 season. So 5 years into the future. To see whether they can make it back to back promotions back up to the Premier League. I'm looking at this screen right now. I can't see anything that gives it away dead quickly. I'm just going to quickly clear my inbox because that'll annoy me. So I can't see anything that will tell us whether they've done it or not. But the first thing we're going to look at, obviously, make it just a little bit more fun. We're going to have a look at Southport, and Southport have been relegated from Sky Bet League 2, it seems. Yes, they didn't even finish bottom, which is quite an achievement, actually. A team who were in the Vanarama North before this little experiment. So they've shown some level. I mean, they have suffered 4 back-to-back. In fact, no, they didn't. Last season, they actually stayed up in League 2. Which is quite impressive. So they did stay up last season in League 2, but they have eventually succumbed to relegation. So they will be back in the Vanarama National League. But this is not what today's episode is about. So we're going to have a look at the Premier League. First of all, try to do this. So the Premier League then. City are champions by quite a way. Southampton have dropped off. They're no longer at the top. Blackburn are back, but they've gone back down. Any other names? Derby. Watford are back, Norwich, West Brom, obviously they're back in real life. Kylian Mbappe has just been tearing up the Premier League. 22 goals, 10 player matches, 7.9 average rating. Absolutely unreal. They have dominated. They've won 4 of the last 5. Liverpool obviously winning it before being demoted, if you like. But we're going to have a look at the Championship, so that's where Liverpool... In fact, no, we're going to look at League 1 dead quick. So you can see League 1, Liverpool did win it in the season they were there. So that was the season after the end of the last episode. They did win. We have a quick look at that table. So Liverpool won champions, 103 points, did lose 7 games, but won 32, drew 7, and finished comfortably in first place. So let's have a look at the Championship and see if they managed to get themselves back into the Premier League. So then, perhaps a little bit of a shock. Liverpool did indeed get themselves back into the Premier League. They'll be joined by Wolverhampton Wanderers and either Stoke or Nottingham Forest. But they didn't win it. And they were quite a way off. 11 points off first place. A lot of losses, but also a lot of wins. Quite a Marmite team, I suppose. With high wins, but a lot of losses. What is that? Is that the... mid-table in terms of losses, but the second most amount of wins in the league. Quite an impressive. Shall we have a look at the squad and see who's still there? So then, for all Liverpool fans, I'm sure this will be something you will love to see. Steven Gerrard back at the helm for Liverpool Football Club. He is in fact the manager. As I said then, they did get promoted in the automatic promotion spot. They've lost half a star on their reputation, but they are still rich. A few names, the captain, Leighton Stewart, obviously an academy prospect, and Paul Glatzel, the vice-captain, as well as their key player. 24 years old, valued at 24 million, 17 goals, 17 assists in the league that season. That's a pretty good return for the 24-year-old Englishman, technically German. Leighton Stewart then, he got 5 goals, only 7 starts, despite being the captain. Quite an interesting decision. Steven Gerrard then managed Rangers until 2023. Did he win them that trophy they were so desperate for? Let's have a look. So then Steven Gerrard did in fact win the Scottish Premiership twice in his reign. Was he there in 2024? No, he'd moved on. So he did win it twice before eventually moving on to Brighton, where, I don't know, where did they finish under him? They finished pretty poor in 14th. I mean, Brighton, that's not the end of the world, but not what you'd expect from a manager who seems to be at one of the biggest clubs in the world. But now Liverpool manager. Let's have a look at a few of their players then. So their squad, I will be honest, I can't see a single name. We've got Lucas, who is a Brazilian, not the Lucas that Liverpool fans will be familiar with, but a Brazilian midfielder who looks pretty good. We've got a lot of loans. Ollie Skip, former of Tottenham. Matty Longstaff, obviously at Liverpool, formerly of Newcastle. We've got Kevin York. Is that the son of Dwight York, maybe? It could be. He's from Trinidad and Tobago. I'd put money on that maybe being the son of the Manchester United legend, Dwight York. Paul Glatzel, as we said, is the star player, but he is wanted. We've got Amari Bell, who looks like an alright... Oh, he's an old player. He's not... I thought he was a youngster. We've got Will Ferry, wanted by Wolves. He looks a pretty tidy player, Irish 24-year-old. He came from the Bury team in 16-17. He's actually a real person, I guess. We've got... Who else have we got that's wanted? We've got Jake Forster-Kasky, formerly of... I mean, he's been playing since 2009, formerly of Brighton, Charlton, Doncaster Rovers, MK Dons, Oxford United. He's been around for a while. Is there anyone else? Let's have a look at their most valued players. So their most valued player then, Paul Glatzel, Will Ferry, Ollie Skip, Ollie McBurney, formerly of Norwich and Sheffield. This Lucas does look like the real deal, valued at 16.5 million, at just 18. 11 goals, 1 assist in 36 starts is a pretty tidy return in the Championship. For some reason it's only saying that he's got 5 goals. I'm not quite sure why. That is rather... Oh, he joined mid-season. Right, okay. But yeah, not a lot of familiar names. We're going to have a look at the transfers, see how they got on. So they've spent 100 million this year. Wow. Paying 27 million for the services of Lucas. Ollie Skip for 16.5. Will Ferry for 14.5. Outgoings as well. There was Tommy Harrison, who looks... I mean, we can't see him because we've got Shubi masking on like a fool. Let's have a look. Last season, who did they sell? So Sadio Mane sadly finally left. He joined Barcelona on 34.5 million. Andy Robertson joined Tottenham. He's still there. Still a very, very good. Played 50 games this season. And last, Owen Beck joined Bolton. Who did we have? Who are the big names coming in? Not a big spending. A lot of free transfers. Obviously in League One, quite hard to bring in the names. The season before, 223 out. So Curtis Jones, obviously we've looked at this. I think this was the last time we saw the big exodus of Liverpool stars there. So then looking at the Championship's best players, we've got Paul Glatzel, who got the joint second amount of goals, 17. We've got Paul Glatzel, who won 29 games. He played in every Liverpool win. That is exceptional. Kevin York with high number of fouls per 90. Penalties, Will Ferry, 2 out of 2. A few red cards, a few yellow cards for Kevin York. Kevin York, quite the yellow card master. Does it say Dwight York? I'm sure it is Dwight York's son, like almost certain. So then, as you can see, they did win. Obviously, we now know they won the League One quite comfortably. Were second place in the Sky Bet Championship. So we'll be back in the Premier League. They did not win an FA Cup. If they won a Carabao, if they won anything over recent years. If we can find the Carabao Cup, where is that? The Carabao. So no, they haven't won anything since the League One. They haven't won anything of note in England either. Landmarks then. So Thiago has left. He moved to... Is that America? Yeah, he moved over to the MLS, joining Austin FC over in Austin, Texas. In Texas. After playing 76 times in just 4 years. So that's pretty impressive. Andrew Robertson was appointed captain but then left. Just a matter of months later. Leighton Stewart then became captain after Thiago joined Austin. Managers then. Jurgen Klopp did in fact leave after winning 82% of his games. He only lost 24. That is impressive. Steven Gerrard also with all right results. 32 wins, 16 losses. But Jurgen Klopp, as you can see then, did in fact move on. He then went to manage Porto over in Portugal. That's an interesting one. Having a look at their best 11 then. In goal, we've got Alisson. Obviously, I don't think you're ever going to get much better. Right back is not Nico Williams. It's not Trent Alexander-Arnold. It is a man called Connor Bradley, who now plays for Forest Green. So Connor Bradley made 80 appearances in the league over a 6-year period for Liverpool. He's only 21, so he made a lot of appearances as a youngster before eventually leaving Liverpool for 105k. So he was signed up in the first season, I presume on a free contract, and then played a few games in the reserves before making his debut in the, what would that have been? That would have been the Vanarama National or the Sky Bet League 2, and then progressing up with the club before eventually moving on. Centre defensive mids, we've got Virgil van Dijk. Obviously, he is now at PSG. Alisson at Milan, still there. 54 appearances at Milan there. Joe Gomez, obviously he moved on. He's now at Atleti after making just 20 appearances for Chelsea over a 2-year period. Andy Robertson, obviously we know, is at Tottenham. Conor Gallagher, a former Liverpool prospect, he is still at the club after loan moves at Leicester, so he's done pretty well for himself. Tyler Morton, also in the centre midfield, he is no longer at Liverpool after 111 appearances, 10 goals at the age of 22. He's moved on to FC Dallas over in America. Mohamed Salah made 80 appearances, only 48 goals. You'd expect better in the lower leagues, I'd suggest, but he was not able to produce. Tommy Harrison in the centre, 84 with 17. We obviously just checked him. He's now at Stoke, valued at 50 million, 19 years old, 7.5 million. I mean, you're pretty good. League One to make 18 goals and assists and 35 at just 17. Sadio Mane, obviously he's now at Barcelona with 102 appearances for the club, 37 goals. And Paul Glatzel, the leading man, with 186 games for the club, 84 goals, and is wanted by Arsenal. A few other names, Reece Williams, obviously he is now at Brentford. Nico Williams is now at Southampton following a loan spell at Leicester, is that? No, he was sold to Leicester and then is eventually sold to Southampton. Curtis Jones then is at Leicester. He moved for 38 million just last season and has had a brilliant start in the Premier League after an amazing season in League 2. Now valued at 55 million, just 24 years old. Harvey Blair, another one who is still at Liverpool. He's one of the few who's still there, not really playing that regularly, however. And then Shaqiri moved to Shakhtar Donetsk in 2022 for 10 million. And Leighton Stewart, the last man in the Dream 11, valued at 7.25, just shy of 100 appearances for the club, scoring 36 times, and is also the captain. Looking at the under-23s Liverpool, there's a few names in here that are quite good. We've got Dylan Markande, who's valued at 4.7 million. He's 23. He was brought in from Tottenham, who looks like a potentially had a little bit of hope early on. We've then got the likes of Blake Blackwood, who was ironically a former Southport man. He was signed from Southport from the New Saints, a team quite local to me, before eventually moving to Brighton and then Liverpool. We've got Mohamed Keith. I mean, what a name. Wow, what a name. Mohamed Keith, 20 years old, just starting to break through into the team, it seems, valued at 1.6 million. Max Robson, the final one, who's on loan at Aldershot, formerly of Tottenham, but not really many of their homegrown in the under-23s. Let's have a look at the under-18s then. Not really many names that stick out in terms of valuation. Obviously, the one problem is that I've got to be masking on, so they look average, but they could be world beaters. It's hard to tell. Affiliate clubs then, they've still got their 3 affiliates. None above them, which would be quite funny. Legends then, obviously Mohamed Salah, Bill Shankly, Jurgen Klopp has made his way onto there. Any names in icons? Leighton Stewart is favoured. Jordan Henderson, where did he go? He left for Wolves and then Norwich. Who else is there? Interestingly, Robbie Fowler is at Bolton as a manager. And Mohamed Salah banging in the goals in that PSG team, now aged 32. 18 and 11, 23 in his first season. That's a really good return for the Egyptian. Everton, how have they done without their local Amin? That is a sight for sore eyes. Patrick Vieira is manager. They've still got Jordan Pickford and Richarlison in the squad. And as a Liverpool fan who likes to wind up Evertonians, you can see they've still not won anything since '95 other than the Premier League International Cup, which they won in 2022. And the last one we're going to look at before zooming ahead a little bit further is the Champions League. As you can see, Man City are the current holders, as well as being in the final once more. And a pretty even Bayern Munich beat Madrid. Atleti Porto got to the final. That is impressive. Against Real Madrid before losing. Atleti win it against Chelsea, and Man City beat it at London, the oil derby, before getting there again. So Liverpool obviously not there to challenge. A few interesting faces have appeared there. So then we're going to leave this video here then for now. If there's anything I missed or anything you want me to check out, go ahead, drop a comment and let me know. Other than that then, we will be back for another episode, final episode of this, to see if Liverpool can reassert their dominance on English football in 10 years' time. Don't forget to hit that like button if you enjoyed it, subscribe, click that notification bell so you get notified when new videos go live every day at 4 PM. And other than that, I hope you have a wonderful day, and I'll see you next time.